Hi, hello. Welcome to Kaalagathi. Today we are going to discuss about fourth house in astrology. So fourth house, what it represents? Home, family, emotional foundation, mother and nurturing, roots, heritage, emotional well-being, inner world, sense of belonging, property, assets, subconscious patterns, spiritual growth. So here, the mother, the place where you live, the house, and the properties, assets, vehicles, all comes in fourth house. By understanding the fourth house in Vedic astrology, we can gain insights into our emotional foundation, family dynamics, and sense of belonging, ultimately leading to the greater self-awareness and personal growth. The fourth house in Vedic astrology represents subconscious mind and emotional patterns shaping our sense of security and belonging in the following ways. Subconscious mind. Emotional conditioning. The fourth house reveals our emotional conditioning shaped by childhood experiences and family dynamics. Subconscious mind. This house exposes our subconscious patterns, habits, emotional response, influencing our thoughts, feelings, and behaviors. Inner world. The fourth house represents our inner world, including our thoughts, feeling, and intuition, which operate beneath our conscious awareness. When it comes to the emotional patterns, emotional foundation, the fourth house establishes our emotional foundation, determining our sense of security, comfort, and belonging. Emotional responses. This house influences our emotional responses to the situations, people, and experiences, shaping our reactions and behaviors. Emotional well-being. The fourth house affects our emotional well-being, mental health, and ability to cope with stress, anxiety, and adversity. So, roots and heritage. The fourth house connects us to our roots, heritage, and cultural traditions, providing a sense of belonging and identity. Family and home. This house represents family dynamics, home environment, sense of security, influencing our feelings, comfort, and stability. Inner sense of security. The fourth house reveals our inner sense of security, which stems from our emotional foundation, subconscious patterns, and emotional well-being. When it comes to planets in the fourth house, so what the results will get? If you, in your chart, if you see Sun in the fourth house, Sun represents security in the home, authority in the home, sense of pride and identity tied to family and roots. Potential conflicts between personal identity and family expectations. When it comes to Moon in the fourth house, emotional nourishment and comfort in the home, strong connection to family and roots, intuitive and emotional intelligence, potential for emotional trauma and moodiness. Mars in the fourth house, conflicts, tension in the home, competitive dynamics with family members, potential for aggression and anger issues, drive and energy in pursuing emotional security. When it comes to Mercury in the fourth house, communication and intellect in the home, curiosity and adaptability in emotional situations, potential for nervousness and anxiety, quick wit and cleverness in emotional expression. Jupiter in fourth house, expansion and growth in emotional well-being, optimism and faith in family and relationships, potential for overindulgence and emotional excess, wisdom and guidance in emotional matters. Whereas Venus in the fourth house, love and beauty in the home, harmony and balance in emotional relationships, potential for emotional attachment and dependency, appreciation for comfort and luxury. When it comes to Saturn in the fourth house, discipline and responsibility in emotional matters, potential for emotional restriction and limitation, sense of duty and obligation for family, emotional maturity and wisdom through challenges. The office structure came into home, that is Saturn. So Rahu in the fourth house, unconventional family dynamics and emotional patterns, potential for emotional turmoil and unpredictability, desire for emotional freedom and exploration, potential for emotional manipulation and obsession. Ketu in fourth house, spiritual and emotional detachment, potential for emotional numbness and disconnection, desire for emotional liberation and transcendence, potential for emotional healing and release. So, these are the planet results in the fourth house. When it comes to different ascendants, for different ascendants, what the fourth house will give results, we'll see. When it comes to Aries ascendant, the fourth house is Cancer, ruled by Moon. So fourth house is all about emphasis on emotional security, family, and nurturing. Potential for emotional moodiness, comfort, and security in home. Taurus ascendant. The fourth house is Leo, ruled by Sun. Emphasis on pride, creativity, and self-expression in the home. Potential for conflicts between personal identity and family expectation. Need for recognition and appreciation in the home. When it comes to Gemini ascendant, fourth house is Virgo, ruled by Mercury. Emphasis on communication, intellect, and adaptability in emotional situations. Potential for nervousness and anxiety in the home. Need for mental stimulation and variety in emotional relationships. When it comes to Cancer ascendant, fourth house is ruled by Venus, that is Libra. Emphasis on harmony, balance, and relationships in the home. Potential for emotional attachment and dependency. Need for beauty and harmony in the home. When it comes to Leo ascendant, the fourth house is Scorpio, ruled by Mars. Emphasis on intensity, passion, transformation in emotional matters. Potential for conflicts and power struggle in the home. Need for excitement and adventure in emotional relationships. When it comes to Virgo, the fourth house is ruled by Jupiter, that is Sagittarius. Emphasis on expansion, growth, and exploration in emotional well-being. Potential for overindulgence, and emotional excess. Need for freedom and exploration in emotional relationships. When it comes to Libra ascendant, the fourth house is ruled by Saturn, Capricorn. Emphasis on discipline, responsibility, and structure in emotional matters. Potential for emotional restriction and limitation. Need for stability and security in the home. When it comes to Scorpio ascendant, the fourth house is ruled by Aquarius, that is Saturn and Rahu. Emphasis on unconventional emotional patterns, freedom, and exploration. Potential for emotional turmoil and unpredictability. Need for independence and individuality in emotional relationships. When it comes to Sagittarius, the fourth house is ruled by Pisces, Jupiter. Emphasis on spirituality, intuition, and transcendence in emotional matters. The potential for emotional detachment and disconnection. Need for spiritual connection and meaning in emotional relationships. When it comes to Capricorn ascendant, fourth house is Aries, ruled by Mars. Emphasis on action, drive, and competition in emotional situations. Potential for conflicts and aggression in home. Need for ambition and achievement in emotional relationships. When it comes to Aquarius ascendant, fourth house is ruled by Taurus, Venus. Emphasis on stability, security, and comfort in emotional relationships. Potential for emotional attachment and dependency. Need for beauty and harmony in the home. When it comes to Pisces ascendant, fourth house is Gemini, ruled by Mercury. Emphasis on communication, intellect, and adaptability in emotional situations. Potential for nervousness and anxiety in the home. Need for mental stimulation, variety in emotional relationships. So these are the results of various ascendants. So now we will consider fourth lord. How fourth lord will give results. When fourth lord sitting in the first house, emotional foundation and sense of security tied to self-identity, inner world and emotional patterns influencing personality, need for emotional comfort and security in personal relationships. When fourth house lord sitting in second house, emotional security tied to material comforts and finance, family dynamics and emotional patterns influencing financial decisions, need for emotional nourishment through sensual pleasures. When fourth lord sitting in third house, communication and emotional expression in closed relationships, emotional patterns influencing mental agility and adaptability, need emotional support and encouragement in personal growth. Fourth house lord sitting in fourth house only, so own house. Strong emphasis on emotional foundation, sense of security, family dynamics, emotional patterns influencing home life, need emotional support, comfort, and security in a domestic environment. Fourth house lord in fifth house, emotional expression and creativity in romantic relationships, emotional patterns influencing joy, happiness, and fulfillment, need for emotional nourishment through creative pursuits. If fourth house lord is sitting in sixth house, emotional patterns influencing daily routines, work environment, need for emotional comfort and security in daily life, potential for emotional stress and tension in work-life balance. When fourth house lord sitting in seventh house, emotional patterns influencing partnerships and relationships, need emotional support and maturing in relationships, potential for emotional conflicts and power struggles. When fourth house lord sitting in eighth house, emotional patterns influencing intimacy, vulnerability, and trust, potential for emotional turmoil and transformation, need for emotional support and nurturing in time of crisis. When fourth house lord is sitting in ninth house, emotional patterns influencing exploration, expansion, and growth, need for emotional nourishment through spiritual pursuits, potential for emotional detachment and disconnection. When fourth house lord sitting in 10th house, emotional patterns influencing career, reputation, and public image, need for emotional support and recognition in professional life, potential for emotional stress and tension in work-life balance. Fourth house lord sitting in 11th house, emotional patterns influencing friendships, community, and social connection, need for emotional nourishment through social interactions, potential for emotional detachment and disconnection. When fourth lord sitting in 12th house, emotional patterns influencing spiritual growth, intuition, and transcendence, need for emotional support and nurturing in spiritual pursuits, potential for emotional detachment and disconnection. These people may travel to foreign because fourth house lord sitting in 12th house, okay, unknown places. Now, fourth house lord, if conjunct with the different planets, what will be the results? We'll discuss about these results. When fourth house lord conjunct with sun, the emotional foundation tied to self-identity and ego, need for emotional nourishment through recognition and appreciation, potential for emotional conflicts between personal identity and family expectations. When fourth house lord conjunct with moon, emotional foundation tied to emotional security and maturing, need emotional support, comfort, security in family and relationship, potential for emotional turmoil and moodiness. When fourth house lord conjunct with Mars, emotional foundation tied to action, drive, and competition, need for emotional nourishment through excitement and adventure, potential for emotional conflicts and power struggles in relationships, in home. Fourth house lord conjunct with Mercury, emotional foundation tied to communication and intellect. Need for emotional nourishment through mental stimulation and variety. Potential for emotional stress and tension through nervousness and anxiety. When fourth lord conjunct with Jupiter, emotional foundation tied to expansion, growth, and exploration. Need for emotional nourishment through spiritual pursuits and higher learning. Potential for emotional detachment and disconnection. When fourth house lord conjunct with Venus, emotional foundation tied with love, beauty, and harmony. Need for emotional nourishment through sensual pleasures and relationship. Potential for emotional attachment and dependence. When fourth house lord conjunct with Saturn, emotional foundation tied to discipline, responsibility, and structure. Need for emotional nourishment through stability and security. Potential for emotional restriction and limitation. Fourth house lord conjunct with Rahu, emotional foundation tied to unconventional emotional pattern and freedom. Need for emotional nourishment through exploration and experimentation. Potential for emotional turmoil and unpredictability. When fourth house lord conjunct with Ketu, emotional foundation tied to spiritual growth, intuition, and transcendence. Need for emotional nourishment through spiritual pursuits and self-reflection. Potential for emotional detachment and disconnection. Now, what will happen if fourth house lord exalted and fourth house lord debilited? First, we will discuss with exalted. Strong emotional foundation and sense of security. Family comforts, nurturing home environment, supporting and loving family relationship, emotional well-being and stability. Potential for emotional growth and expansion, favorable circumstances for property and assets. Debilitated fourth house lord, weak emotional foundation and sense of insecurity, comfortable or unstable home environment, challenging and strained family relationships, emotional turmoil and instability, potential for emotional struggles and conflicts, difficulties with properties, assets, and vehicles. Now we'll see exalted fourth house lord by sign. Sun in Aries. Emotional foundation will increase self-identity, ego, and strong sense of security. Moon in Taurus, the fourth house exalted. Fourth house lord is Moon and he is exalted. Emotional security, stability through sensual comforts and material possessions. Mars in Capricorn, emotional foundation, drive, the ambition, strong of sense of responsibility. Mercury in Virgo, exalted. Emotional well-being through mental clarity and analytical thinking. Jupiter in Cancer, exalted. Emotional expansion and growth through nurturing and protection. Venus in Pisces. Fourth house lord is Venus and Venus is in Pisces, exalted. Emotional nourishment through spiritual connection and transit. When Saturn is in Libra and he is a fourth house lord, exalted. Emotional balance, harmony through relationships and partnerships. Rahu in Gemini, this is also considered as very good position. Emotional exploration, experimentation, strong curiosity. Ketu in Sagittarius, emotional spiritual growth and intuition, strong connection to higher learning. When it comes to debilitated fourth house lord, Sun in Libra, debilitated. Emotional foundation tied to relationships and potential for emotional dependency. Moon in Scorpio, emotional turmoil and intensity in family relationships. Mars in Cancer, emotional conflicts and moodiness, potential for emotional manipulation. Mercury in Pisces, debilitated. Emotional confusion and instability through mental fogginess. Jupiter in Capricorn, debilitated. Emotional restriction and limitation, potential for emotional pessimism. Venus in Virgo, debilitated. Emotional criticism and perfectionism in relationships. Saturn in Aries debilitated. Emotional isolation and loneliness, potential for emotional repression. When Rahu in Scorpio and that became a fourth house, emotional obsession, fixation, potential for emotional turmoil. When Ketu is in Gemini, emotional detachment and disconnection, potential for emotional numbness. Let us see some case studies. Strong fourth house. Oprah Winfrey. This person is having fourth house Lord Venus in Taurus with Moon Jupiter conjunct. Emotional foundation tied to nurturing and comfort, strong sense of security and stability. Angelina Jolie, fourth house Lord Moon is in Cancer with Venus and Jupiter conjunct. Emotional foundation tied to family and nurturing, strong sense of security and comfort. Nelson Mandela, fourth house Lord Jupiter is in Cancer with Moon and Venus conjunct. Emotional foundation tied to nurturing and protection, strong sense of security and stability. Weak fourth house. Britney Spears, fourth house Lord Saturn in Aquarius with Rahu Ketu conjunct. Emotional foundation tied to independence, unconventional emotional patterns, potential for emotional detachment and unpredictability. Amy Winehouse, fourth house Lord Mars in Scorpio with Sun Mercury conjunct. Emotional foundation tied to intensity, passion, potential emotional conflicts with power struggles. Michael Jackson, fourth house Lord Venus in Virgo with Saturn and Ketu conjunct. Emotional foundation tied to criticism and perfection, potential for emotional restriction and limitation. So, challenged fourth house. Fourth house for Princess Diana, fourth house Lord Moon in Scorpio with Mars and Saturn conjunct. Emotional foundation tied to intensity, passion, potential emotional conflicts with and power struggles. John Lennon, fourth house Lord Jupiter in Sagittarius with Saturn and Ketu. So, emotional foundation tied to exploration, expansion, potential emotional growth, and higher learning. Whitney Houston, fourth house Lord Venus in Scorpio with Mars and Saturn conjunct. Emotional foundation tied to intensity, passion, potential, and emotional conflicts in power struggles. These examples are based on publicly available birth data and should not be considered as a defensive and absolute interpretations. So it's here it is projected to understand the fourth house. So let us see some more examples. Amitabh Bachchan, fourth house Lord Jupiter in Cancer with Moon and Venus conjunct. So it is exalted position. Foundation tied to nurturing, protection, strong sense of security and stability. Sachin Tendulkar, fourth house Lord Venus in Taurus with Moon and Jupiter conjunct. So emotional foundation tied to sense of comforts, material possession, and strong sense of security and stability. Aishwarya Rai, fourth house Lord Moon in Cancer and Venus and Jupiter conjunct. Emotional foundation tied to family nurturing, strong sense of security and comfort. Salman Khan, fourth house Lord Saturn in Aquarius with Rahu. Emotional foundation tied to independence and unconventional emotional patterns, potential for emotional detachment and unpredictability. Shah Rukh Khan, fourth house Lord Mars in Scorpio with Sun and Mercury conjunct. Kareena Kapoor, fourth house Lord Venus in Virgo, debilitated with Saturn and Ketu. Emotional foundation tied to criticism, perfectionism, potential for emotional restriction and limitation. When it comes to Rajnikant, fourth house Lord in Sagittarius with Saturn and Ketu conjunct. A.R. Rahman, fourth house Lord Moon in Scorpio, debilitated. For Rajnikant, it is own house, and A.R. Rahman, it is debilitated. Deepika Padukone. So fourth house Lord Venus in Scorpio with Mars and Saturn. Emotional foundation tied to intensity, passion, potential for emotional conflicts and power struggles. So these are just examples of how we can understand the fourth house. So this is all about fourth house. This video will be streamed in YouTube. Please like, share, comment, and let me know your suggestions on this. Okay. We'll come up with another new exciting video on next week. Up to then, thank you. Thank you very much.